Jujutsu Kaisen is mid. It's overhyped, predictable, and unoriginal, is what I would say if I was an idiot. Got him. Jujutsu Kaisen is the best currently running new gen shonen, and it's not even close. It's inspired, innovative, and most importantly, it is so fun. The thing is, a couple of months ago, I never thought those words would come out of my mouth. I watched the Jujutsu Kaisen anime as it was airing, and it was good, but it didn't really blow me away or anything. It was fun, I enjoyed my time watching it, and that was about it. A couple months later, I had almost completely forgotten everything that had happened in season 1 of JJK. But then the rumors started. Jujutsu Kaisen, the manga, the JJK manga, read the manga. The Shibuya arc is insane. The JJK manga is goated. The JJK manga will solve all your problems. The JJK manga will cure your cancer. The Shibuya arc made my dad come back. Get out of my head, get out of my head, get out of my head! Fine, I'll read the manga. And were the JJK manga readers right? Okay, yeah, maybe they were right. As soon as you venture into Jujutsu Kaisen's unadapted manga content, there's an immediate and noticeable increase in the quality of storytelling. Characters we spent a considerable amount of time with in Season 1 finally get some much needed development, and the relationships with those around them are fleshed out. This includes the villains, who are actually given real motives. In Season 1, it kinda just seemed like the villains were killing people for no other reason than being curses, which made them a shallow threat. But in the unadapted manga material, they come to offer an interesting moral dilemma on how to deal with the common curses that plague the world. And while you don't agree with the villains, their development at least allows you to see the world through their perspective, and provides a legitimate reason for all that they're doing. Everything in the JJK manga begins to fall into place, and the story gains some real direction. You see, that's cool and all, but it's also not why I'm making this video. Jujutsu Kaisen is a battle shonen, and it wears that badge proudly. The manga's pacing is ramped up to such a high degree that there's hardly a chapter that doesn't include some kind of fight. And the fights flow so seamlessly together that you're never left even a smidgen of a chance to get bored. Jujutsu Kaisen is a lightning quick hype train that stops for absolutely nothing. This might seem like a bad thing to some people because it leaves little time for actual story development, but when the fights are this good, they become the story. Jujutsu Kaisen is a series that knows what it wants to be and executes perfectly. It's a carefully prepared plate of no BS, straight up, hard-hitting action, served to you on a weekly basis. Each fight is a back and forth battle of strategy and skill that leads to some of the most exciting sequences in battle shonen history. The fights are less about how strong you are and more about how well you can utilize the tools at your disposal. We saw some of this in season 1 of the anime with fights like the Todo and Yuji vs Nanami fight, but that was merely the baseline of what Jujutsu Kaisen is able to achieve with its later fights in the manga. Every fight feels meticulously planned out and always concludes in a realistic and satisfying way. You literally never know who's gonna win and who's gonna die. I can think of countless times where my predictions on who would win a certain fight were just completely off in the most rewarding way possible. In order to explain this further, let's take a look at Toji. And I mean it when I say take a look. I aspire to have muscles like his. As you probably know, the JJK power system uses a thing called cursed energy, in which sorcerers use to perform their, spells and stuff. I don't really know what they're called. Toji, however, was a man born without a trace of cursed energy, and so at a surface level he might appear to be a weak fighter because he can't use sorcery, but in reality this lack of cursed energy is his greatest strength. Because he has no traces of cursed energy, Toji is able to sneak anywhere he wants unnoticed by the senses of traditional sorcerers. And so when he's sent to assassinate Gojo, a man whose power is supposed to let him see everything, this leads to an intensely intriguing situation, and also just a really cool fight. Jujutsu Kaisen's power system, like any other great power system, creates the possibility for anyone in the series to defeat anyone else with proper preparation and utilization of their skill sets. A lot of people's criticisms for Jujutsu Kaisen seem to stem from the fact that it borrows so many elements from other shonen series. And yeah, it totally does, but I also don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. Every piece of media is influenced by another, and this holds true with manga. DBZ inspired shows like Hunter x Hunter, of which would inspire the big three, who would then go on to inspire the new generation, including Jujutsu Kaisen. Even having said this, most series don't wear their influences on their sleeve as blatantly as Jujutsu Kaisen, and so it would seem that the series' rehashing of old concepts would quickly become stale. But I think what allows JJK to stay so interesting is found in how it's able to twist these old concepts to make something new. To explain this, let's first take a look at the cursed energy power system that I touched on before. This system focuses on channeling life energy in order to perform a wide range of attacks or trap opponents in the user's domain. Sound familiar? Well, that's because this system is literally just a combination of Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho's power systems. But you can't even be mad because of how well JJK executes these concepts while also contributing new ones, such as the use of cursed tools and spirits for battle. Jujutsu Kaisen even adds completely new dimensions to the power system that are used to improve upon and combat the pitfalls commonly associated with the series it took inspiration from. Because Hunter x Hunter's Nen power system is so complex and limitless, it forces the series to constantly use exposition dumps in order to explain the events taking place to the reader. However unavoidable it may be, it's annoying and most times downright stupid that a character would just tell the enemy exactly how their powers work. But what makes Jujutsu Kaisen's take on this problem so interesting is that instead of trying to remove the trope, it embraces it. In Jujutsu Kaisen's power system, explaining your abilities to the enemy makes your attacks more powerful, and so it creates an interesting balance between not giving too much of your abilities away, while also trying to power them up enough to deal significant damage. This in turn facilitates the perfect environment for characters to pull moves like bluffing about their powers, and only enhances the mind games already taking place. Almost every aspect of Jujutsu Kaisen was inspired in this same way. The series' character designs are Bleach inspired, but it also uses a messy art style to complement the action. The main trio and use of Sukuna as a villain inside the protagonist are Naruto inspired, but they have so much charisma that they feel like a breath of fresh air. And even Gojo is an over-exaggeration of a common shonen trope. I would have said that Gojo was inspired by Kakashi due to their, striking resemblance. But apparently, he was inspired by this other random background character in Naruto who Kishimoto didn't even remember drawing. So there's a fun fact for you, I guess. It's a common trope for senseis in Battle Shonen to be overpowered, but Jujutsu Kaisen takes this one step further with Gojo, who is actually the strongest man in the world and sets the power ceiling for the series. Jujutsu Kaisen shows that there is no shame in borrowing ideas from other series. It takes all the best ideas Battle Shonen have produced and combines them into a masterful product while still managing to retain a unique identity. It really is the culmination of everything that's been learned through decades of manga storytelling. Now, don't let all my praise fool you, Jujutsu Kaisen is not a perfect manga. The paneling is very hard to follow at points, a large portion of its cast still feels underdeveloped, and the story isn't anything to write home about. But all that really doesn't matter, because at least to me, Jujutsu Kaisen is a perfect shonen. It's a story that does everything it needs to right, and obviously has a lot of love poured into it. You can easily tell that JJK's author, Yuji Itadori, is someone with a fierce love for Battle Shonen, through his story and through the many references he includes within it. Jujutsu Kaisen is GG's modern take on the classic shonen formula, and consistently reminds me why I came to love the genre in the first place. It's not a show for everyone, but for those like me who have and always will have a soft spot for Battle Shonen, this is the series to finally tickle that itch for action you've had for so long. And if Jujutsu Kaisen can keep improving at the rate it is now, if the anime looks just as good as season 1, and if it can keep providing that action we crave, Jujutsu Kaisen will take over unlike anything we've ever seen before, and I think it's gonna surprise a lot of people.